Hey, everybody. It is Cheree here. Welcome to our session where every once in a while I bring you all a great guest, and today is no different. I've got Mike Capello here of Sell Simply. Mike, tell everybody who you are and what is Sell Simply?
Thank you, Cheree. Yeah, my name is Mike Capello. I run Sell Simply, which is a wholesale company mainly focusing on Northern Virginia, Front Royal, Shenandoah Valley. And Sell Simply is really my marketing business. So we do wholesale. We also do some buy and hold, fix and flip, a little bit of everything. But Sell Simply is kind of the face of that business that we use to market to our potential opportunities. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. So we had our mastermind session, you and I and some people from our grid real estate network. We had that was it last week? And we talked about the fact that wholesaling is really a marketing business. Like it's really
Absolutely.
about how well you do at generating leads,
Yeah.
right? Talk to us a little bit about that because so many people, you and I have had this conversation. We say that so many people should start off with wholesaling. They maybe shouldn't start off with buy and hold unless they have the money to do so. So, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, wholesaling is a great way to get your foot in the door. And like you said, at the end of the day, it's really a sales and marketing business. So that's really my primary focus is, driving leads to our company, which then we can decide really what we want to do with since we do buy and hold. And we're looking to do that more and more. We can kind of cherry pick the opportunities that we want to hold on to or
Mhm.
fix and flip ourselves. And then we'll wholesale anything that's, it may still be a good opportunity, but it might not fit our buy box, or it may not be something that, maybe we have too many projects going on and we just want to move stuff. But wholesaling is a great way to get your foot in the door with real estate investing. You don't need a lot of money,
Mhm.
um, and you can really learn a lot just getting yourself out there and talking to sellers and finding opportunities. And even if you don't know what you're doing, just being able to um, source opportunities maybe for another wholesaler or for
Mhm.
another investor that has a little bit more experience is a great way to just get started in the business and learn a lot. That's how I got started.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that people are always concerned about is okay, I go out and wholesale, but what happens if I get somebody? What do
Yeah,
I do?
of
And
course.
I was telling somebody a couple of days ago. I said, "Call Mike."
Yeah,
Obviously, it's
I'm
the
always a
person we both
resource.
know.
I'm always a resource for sure. But yeah, real estate is a team game, and the more people that you know, and the more people that you can surround yourself that that are doing things at a higher level than you, that's just going to level you up faster. One of the first things I did when I got into real estate was found a great partner that I knew the game, and I knew had a big network that I could tap into, and that moved me forward way faster than all the podcasts I was listening to and videos I was watching, and mentorships that I had joined. I really found that just surrounding myself with people that are doing it at a high level, exponentially advanced everything that I was doing way faster than the really year plus that I spent just trying to soak everything in and figure it out on my own and try and learn everything. It's just,
Mhm.
you just got to get in there and get your hands dirty and find somebody or find a few people that you can work with, partner with, learn from, and um, that's the path to success in this game.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're always told, it is very true in real estate, is if you find the deal, you'll find the money, you'll find the partners, you'll find people who are going to be willing to either you can wholesale that deal to them, or You can joint venture with them. We have within SimpliFunded, we have people that will joint venture with you for 50-50 split of the profits. Um, One thing that, I try to tell people is if your long-term goal is to do a lot of fix and flips, then you want to have a certain level of experience and a certain amount of experience. And you need to actually be on the LLC of that purchasing of the properties being purchased.
Mhm.
But if you do that, you start off with somebody, find a deal, come to Mike. He has the experience, we have the capital. And yeah, you could say, hey, instead of you paying me a wholesale fee, I want to be a part of this and I actually want to help
Yeah.
to rehab this property. And
Yeah.
then that helps you in the future because then you'll have um, properties, experience, you'll be an experienced flipper, which then the more experience that you have, the better terms you'll get when you're coming to me for capital in the future. So all of this is kind of a long-term strategy, and working with someone like Mike, or if you don't know how to get in touch with Mike, get in touch with me and say, hey, Cheree, how do I find Mike, or how do I find somebody to partner with? And I'm looking to be a resource for people as well. So, um, so many people though hear the term creative financing, right? And some sounds like some sort of late night infomercial if people are old enough to remember the Carlton Sheets and all of those individuals. However, what exactly is creative financing and how do people actually use it in order to buy property?
Yeah, I mean, creative finance in and of itself is just kind of a general term that we use for acquiring property in what may be considered unconventional means. So instead of going out and getting a conventional loan or using cash, there are other strategies that you can use, and there are several of them, but there are other strategies that you can use to acquire property without capital. Um, Now, oftentimes, these strategies still do require some funding for closing costs, for repairs, but the acquisition can be done with very minimal costs.
Hmm.
And we've been doing this at a high level now for a while, and it's really our main strategy for buy and hold in this market right now. Because what we're looking to do mostly um, is purchase properties subject to, meaning buy the property subject to the existing mortgage, keep, you know, with interest rates now climbing into the who knows where they're going, a little bit of uncertainty. Um, People that bought 5 years ago, even 10 years ago, even rates in the fours and fives are still attractive. Um, and we can purchase property and just service those loans instead of going out and getting new debt. So we don't have to go to a bank, find somebody that's going to lend on, a distressed asset, or it doesn't even have to be distressed, but um, creative finance is just using alternative strategies to acquire property.
Hmm.
So you've got subject to, you've got seller finance. Novation is another one that's in the creative realm. And we can talk a little bit more about those, but there's a million ways you can structure the acquisition of property. Creative finance as a whole is just what it says, being creative with your financing, whether that's
Hmm.
subject to, whether that's seller finance, novation, or, I mean, I've seen crazy things with people using crypto and, like, I mean, anything you can come up with, if you can sell it and to a potential property owner and acquire a property without having to go to a bank, to me, that's creative finance.
Yeah, yeah. So, uh, tell us a little bit about like seller financing
Mhm.
lease options, buying subject to.
Yeah.
Novation is it to me. It's a new term. I know I've heard it, a few times, and I've listened to people go through the strategy.
Sure.
But um, if somebody let's actually take a step back. If someone finds a deal. Let's say that, somebody in their church comes to them and says, "Hey, I hear you buy houses, right?
Mhm.
Can you help me?" What are some of the things they should do and ask in order to determine if this is a real deal? And like how do they actually go about locking it in so that they can then come to you and say, "Okay,
Sure.
now what do I do?"
For me, the first thing is always understanding the motivation and understanding the situation. So, a lot of these deals that we find,
Mhm,
oftentimes there's underlying motivation. That
mhm,
really has to be the key factor in a deal, because if somebody really wants to maximize the value of their property sale, at the end of the day, you know, bringing it to market and listing it with an agent or listing it, for sale by owner, if you want to go that route, is really going to be the best way, because you're going to have the most eyes
mhm,
and competition. And so, what we're looking for is really underlying motivation, and that really has to be there. That's the key factor. Somebody that wants speed and convenience and is willing to give up um, some equity or the purchase price in order to, move quickly. There has to
mhm,
be some motivation there. Um, Now, with seller finance, for example, um, and even subject to, I'm kind of going to backtrack a little bit, because there are situations where, maybe people just have property that they own that, you know, they could sell it if they wanted to, but they're not in any real hurry. And another thing that creative finance often enables us to do is actually pay a little bit more, because if somebody has a really good interest rate, that's valuable. If
mhm.
somebody's willing to sell or finance something to me with a small down payment and a lower interest rate, that's very valuable. So I may be willing to pay more over time, um, as long as the monthly payment to me makes sense. That's what's really important oftentimes. So there's a lot of factors, but usually the underlying factor for a deal is motivation. What's the
Right.
motivation and what's the situation?
Right. I mean, I think for you, like if I were talking to somebody and, they say, "Hey, Cheree, I really need to, offload this property. You buy houses, right?" I would probably ask them, like you said, what's your motivation?
Yeah.
Um, what do you want? Some people will literally just say, "Just take the mortgage off my
Yeah.
hands and I'll walk away."
Yeah.
Other people may say, though, "I need money to move.
Mhm.
I've got $100,000 in equity in this house, but I can't scrape 2 nickels together. So, I need to get an apartment. I need to, have
Yeah.
some breathing room to pay off some debts." I had a couple call me yesterday. They've got a ton of equity, but they made some bad business decisions and they need to pay off some business debt. How can we do this? How can we work this for them? So, people, you do need to know like what they want at the end of the day. And then I think the third thing I would bring to Mike, even though he can look it up himself, is like what's the value of the property at, either as is or after it's renovated if it needs, some renovation. And I think with those few pieces of information and a name and a telephone number, you know, Mike can kind of take it from there.
Yeah.
And I think that, people will talk to you, and once they get it out, at least this is what I'm discovering, they feel like a sense of relief. So that way you're like, "Look, give me a day or give me a business day if it's over a weekend to, get in touch with my people and let me call you tomorrow. What time is best for you?"
Sure.
And kind of work it that way with people. I
Yeah.
think so. And sometimes, so bringing in SimpliFunded and the funding piece of it, sometimes people will say, no, I don't want to do subject to, I don't want to do seller financing. I want out,
Yeah,
right? And the deal is so good that at that point, that's when you would contact someone like me and let's work on that for you.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm
like,
working on a, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, oftentimes, even with creative finance, where there are opportunities where you can get into deals with very little money using subject to, using seller finance.
Hmm.
If you're able to craft a solution for somebody that works, and you know, they don't need money right away, or maybe they don't have a ton of equity, or maybe they just want to stay in the property and they don't care, or maybe they just want to get rid of the property. But
Hmm.
oftentimes we do need funding. We do want to renovate the property, and we do go to somebody like you, like with SimpliFunded, to get those funds that we need. So again, while there are funds that are required, we don't come out of pocket on very many of these deals unless we want to.
Hmm.
We're looking to use other people's money for everything. So there's always the money, like you said it from the beginning. The money's always there. If you have
Hmm.
a good deal, if you have a good opportunity, the easiest part is figuring out how to fund the deal. Like whether you use creative finance, whether you use hard money, whether you use conventional, like that's always the simplest solution. The simplest part of the equation is finding the money. But
You just have to have a connection, and that's what we want to be here at Simply Funded, is to connect with regards to the funding piece of it. So I didn't want to keep you too long. We've kind of done our 15 minutes here. Just kind of wanted to give people an overview of creative financing. If
yeah,
people, have a property that they want to present to you to potentially buy or anything like that, how do people get in touch with you, Mike?
yeah, I should have put my info in the little bar there. But you can email me, call me. My email is my name there, mike.capello@sellsimply.co. And my phone number is 703-801-8692. And yeah, I love helping new investors get started. I love partnering with people. I love building relationships with new investors. And I think one of the traps that a lot of new investors fall into is they get a little bit greedy, frankly, and they want to collect an entire assignment, or
Hmm.
they want to take on a fix and flip by themselves right away because they see other people doing it and how much somebody else is making it. But you can really get yourself in a lot of trouble that way. And you gotta walk, you gotta crawl before you walk a little bit in this business. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of nuance. There's important contractual things, especially with creative finance, if that's an option, something that you're looking at. I
Hmm.
highly recommend partnering, on your first couple of deals. Learn the ropes with someone like me, or somebody else doing it at a high level, and walk through it, learn how to do it, and get that experience before you run out on your own. And you want to collect the big wholesale fee, or you want to collect the big payday at the end of a fix and flip, but you end up running into problems. And we've been through a lot of that already. So
Yeah.
let us kind of guide the way.
I love that. I always tell people your first three deals should just be, can you break even, make a little bit of money,
Yeah,
and learn the business, and then from there, big paydays will come. They will.
absolutely.
But the truth is that hidden singles and doubles in real estate, you
Yeah,
can still do very well with that. I mean, everybody
exactly.
wants to have the, $200,000 payday, but the truth is, if you're doing, 15, 20 a month,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them are going to be singles and doubles. The home runs will
Mhm.
come for sure. But if you're just out there looking for home runs, you're going to be spinning your wheels for a long
Yeah.
time. So yeah, for sure, you got to take what you can get. There's plenty of opportunities out there. There's going to be more opportunities, I think, coming.
Yes,
Um,
I agree with you. And we
and
should get
so,
together sometime and talk about what's happening in the market
yeah,
because you are actually the barometer for me seeing what's happening. So you're noticing, as I was telling people before, there are a lot more pre foreclosures that are out there.
starting to
Uh,
trickle in for sure.
yeah. So from a, just so everybody knows, you have you can be late for 120 days before the foreclosure process starts. Well, because of all the debt in the economy, the student loans are starting up again, things like that. People are really cash strapped.
Yeah.
So, there are a lot of people who are looking to, get rid of property. So, yeah, yeah. And the average homeowner is sitting on, I think, $274,000 of equity. But if you can't tap into any of it because you have a high debt to income ratio, or you've been late so many times, or your credit score is low, then what? So, yeah. Yeah. So, well, Mike, thanks so much for being here. Everybody knows how to get in touch with Mike. It's mike.capello at sellsimply.co. I'm Cheree, simplifunded.com. If you need any kind of funding for your um, investment properties, as well as any kind of traditional funding in order to buy a house for yourself. So, that is it. Thank you so much, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Cheree.
Thanks.
See ya.